ChatGPT was my friend, and now it's acting like that ex-girlfriend that was just part of your friend group, and all you do is hear about her, but you know what she's actually all about. So, do you go and destroy her reputation and share the truth, or are you playing nice in a way that doesn't really help anyone, actually, if you think about it? So then you actually do have a moral obligation to share it with those who could be impacted. But then you don't want to seem crazy. Well, I don't know where to go from there, but this is actually kind of like ChatGPT right now for me. Hey, what's up? Yo, dang it. Yo, what is up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the More Than Meets the Eye podcast, where we talk about what's behind a person, a practice, or a product, especially when it comes to marketing. I'm Jared Taylor, and I've got my water this time. And I want to welcome you to JT Visuals, and that's spelled without the I because there's more than meets the eye. Today, we're looking at what's behind kind of a person, but kind of not. We're looking at a brand. Hey, sorry to interrupt, but Joe, you got something on your chest.
When I failed my first aid business, I chalked it up to a couple of things. Number one, I was very proud and I didn't learn how to build a business. But the second thing I realized is I didn't go to school for this. We've provided something for you if you feel the same exact way. We've provided Skool, S-K-O-O-L, entrepreneur experience, where you can actually have free content and a community of people that are also in there that are entrepreneurs that love to give feedback and ask for feedback. Join our Skool.
It starts for free. So what are you waiting for? Go to jtvisuals.com/school. That's JTVisuals without the I, and that's school with a K.
Now back to the show.
So really, it's a product. We're looking at what's behind this product and the behaviors. And can we trust ChatGPT anymore? Time and time after again, I'm finding out the answer, too long didn't read, is no. But let me paint a scenario for you. I got receipts. My wife and I were talking about a movie, and we were wondering where this quote came from, which actually, spoiler alert, we still don't know to this day where it came from. So let us know in the comments where you think it's from. Here's what we wrote in the chat. Is there a line in Master of Disguise that says, "Do you need a hand with that?" And then someone else says, "No thanks, I already have two." All right, so we were trying to figure out where this came from. We swear we were watching it the other day, and we both agree that this is exactly what the quote was. I was picturing something like someone with a briefcase or traveling or whatever. That's what I was picturing. But here's what ChatGPT said when we asked that. It said, "Yes, there is a joke very close to that in The Master of Disguise, but it's not exactly worded the way you quoted." Immediately, it should not say the word yes. It's kind of just showing that it's already lying. But it's saying the gag you're thinking of happens when Dana Carvey, the pistachio disguisee, is in disguise with multiple arms. Someone offers help along the lines of, "Need a hand?" And the joke lands because he literally has extra arms, leading to a punchline like, "No, I already have more than two." And it gives you like those checkbox things that's not really needed. At least it kind of admitted that this does not exist word for word. But by saying yes, it can easily be overlooked by the reader. It's one of those classical literal idiom jokes that movies lean in on a lot. If you want, I can track down the exact wording or line or clip it more precisely. So then, since it asked that, she said, "Clip, please." And then it says, "Here's a clip compilation of The Master of Disguise. It doesn't isolate only the multiple arms joke, but it includes several disguise gags from the movie, including the kind of visual humor that scene uses." So when you look at it, and even what it just said, it's like that defeats the whole purpose of our question in the first place. We wanted to know, was this in the movie or not? And it's basically saying, yes, it's in the movie, but really it's not in the movie. And then it says there's something about multiple arms, and I don't remember that in the movie at all. Was that even in the movie? It's just like making up a new scenario. Then we said, "Show me the multiple arms disguise." Like it should link to something. It doesn't even have to like draw the picture or whatever it does. And then it said, here's a clip from Master of Disguise that shows the kind of rapid-fire disguise gags. And it's including the exaggerated body prop transformations like the multi-arm. And then it showed it. And then it said, if you're watching the video, you can see what it says. It gives a link to it. And then it says, heads up, the exact multiple arms moment is pretty obscure online and often only appears briefly within compilations or the full movie, rather than as a clean standalone clip. The gag is very quick, more of a visual throwaway than a full scene, which is why it's hard to find isolated. If you want, I can keep digging. Basically, it's saying I can't find what I said was in there. And then it says, I found a YouTube clip that's closest to the available source. And then it says the multi-arm bit is one of those very quick visual throwaways inside sequences. It said, watch closely during the fast disguise transitions. The multiple arms disguise appears very briefly, not as a fully standalone. That's why it's so hard to find a clean isolate. Why is it stuck on that? And then we said, okay, where's that exact timestamp? Because it's public knowledge to go and find the timestamp in a YouTube video or in a movie, finding the exact transcript of the movie or the subtitles that are tied to the SMPTE or whatever protocol. And it said, I dug pretty deep here, and here's the honest answer. There is no publicly documented exact timestamp for the multiple arms disguise gag from transcripts or reliable scene breakdowns. The available transcripts don't even list that moment, which usually means it's a very quick visual gag and likely part of the fast montage. So now we're like, is that part even real? And it just feels so hard to trust. And it's like, hey, if you want, I can blah, blah, blah. And they're trying to keep you in the app more. So now it always asks follow-up questions, which is usually good, but it's like, I didn't solve the first thing first. So the follow-up, if it's not helping towards the first thing, then why do it? And I found that it was doing this over and over and over on a lot of my stuff too. We decided to take the exact same prompt, which was spelled wrong. Like there was 2 words that were combined into 1 word. I took the exact prompt and I put it into Gemini. Is there a line in Master of Disguise that says, do you need a hand with that? No thanks, I already have 2. And I selected the pro version of Gemini, and it said that specific exchange doesn't actually appear in the Master of Disguise. That's a good, upfront answer, It's not saying yes or no right away. While the movie is packed with puns and physical comedy, like the Turtle Club scene or Pistachio talking to his own hand, the I already have 2 joke isn't one of them. It sounds like you might be thinking of a classic dad joke or a scene from another slapstick comedy. Variations of that joke appear in several places. And it said it was from the Goonies or the Addams Family or classic sitcoms, which I'm surprised it didn't come up with Young Frankenstein because that's what we're finding when we Google search it. But we didn't watch Young Frankenstein. We didn't watch the Goonies. We didn't watch the Addams Family. So we know it wasn't in these, at least the one that we're thinking of. And it says, in the Master of Disguise, the hand humor usually involves Pistachio making a talking gesture with his hand and saying to the villain, this is what you're doing. This is what I want you to do. Any question, I get it. Cool. It's just talking about other things. But then I was like, wait, we watched the Pink Panther recently. Was it in the Pink Panther movies? It really seems like a joke that Steve Martin would say. So still on Gemini, I asked, and it said that it would show up in something like The Naked Gun, which is a different person, classic cartoons. And it says, this is something Inspector Clouseau would bumble, but it's not in the movie. The exchange you're thinking of is actually a very old style joke that has popped up in a few different places. So then it's saying no there. And so now we're just going on this rabbit trail of where did we watch this? Where does this quote come from? But the point being, Gemini gave me a better answer and a better response. And usually they have those links of where they sourced it from. And I really like that. I don't know what happened to that on ChatGPT. I feel like it used to be there. I don't know. I don't really see it much anymore. But I asked this in Claude as well. It just says, that specific exchange doesn't appear to be from Master of Disguise. After checking IMDb, the full transcript, and multiple quote databases, there is no record of, do you need a hand with that? No thanks, I already have 2. And then I said, Is it from Pink Panther with Steve Martin? And it says, doesn't appear to be in that film either. That line doesn't show up. So it's basically agreeing with everything Jim and I found too. And I said, we were watching a movie for sure when we saw this and that quote. Do you remember any other details about it? That's what it was asking me. And I was like, well, I thought it was Steve Martin. My wife thought it was Master of Disguise. And it's like, no, it's not those. And I said, can you dig deeper? Like also maybe we are off by a few words just in case it's taken it literally. Like maybe he doesn't say no thanks or something else. And then it comes up with some other movies, but it's definitely not the one. And then I'm like, wait, we watched Anaconda, the newer one recently. Is it that? No, it wasn't that. So basically we were left without an answer. But the reason I'm bringing this up and showing all this is because I'm finding time and time again that ChatGPT is not really reliable, especially when it comes to questions and facts. So there was another experience I've had where ChatGPT was just kind of either convoluted or like super echo chambery to please you. And it just wants to affirm you. It wants you to feel good and feel right, but it's not necessarily correct. Because facts don't care about what you think and they don't care about your feeling. Facts are just facts. But I had a good experience with Gemini asking this question, a good experience with Claude asking this question. They feel a little more trustworthy. I didn't go through any other AIs, but I still want to know the question, though. If you know about where that quote maybe came from and it's a movie that we watched recently, then I would know. But there have been several other instances where ChatGPT is just kind of lying to us. And sometimes it's sneaky, sometimes it's in the wording, sometimes it's direct. And one time was trying to troubleshoot if one device is compatible with another device and it says, yes, it is. But then we found out the real truth because I asked it according to this device's manual, is it compatible with this device? And then it said no. So when I changed the wording and got a little more direct, it was a better answer, but it's misleading in the beginning. And then there was another instance where I was recently talking to someone who, from their experience, was doing some research and using AI to help research articles to write a paper. And in the articles it came up with, it showed all the cited sources, which means you should be able to trust it, right? But there's actually a trick that's going on with the internet, knowing that AI just scrapes everything it finds on the internet. And so she found out that by looking up all of these sites, none of them were legitimate. So even though it cited sources and had that like little keychain thing just to say where it came from, didn't mean that it was still a reliable source. So time and time and time again, I get very careful when someone brings up ChatGPT and that they were looking it up on ChatGPT rather than actually looking up on YouTube. I think YouTube's actually a lot more reliable now because even though it uses Gemini, it still gives you like real people answers unless it's one of those faceless AI videos. Those ones are like unreliable. But if you're like, how do I change the oil in a 2016 Town and Country Chrysler? And then you can find like a real mechanic that's actually showing you how to do that. If you go to Google for that, it may or may not bring up the video and it might just AI overview it, which would say like, here's how to do it. And then it'll cite the sources, but you don't know if those sources are reliable still. And you never know if the mechanic's reliable, but just by seeing it in video form and seeing the mechanic on YouTube, and then you see it work and you see it done, it looks like something you can do, and it's logical, it's trustworthy, you got all the answers, and then you go and try it and it works. That's when search can be reliable again. So really, all in all, this is just a reminder for everyone to not always trust what you see with AI. Like we've adopted it, it's become a thing, but it can cite sources, and those sources could be fake websites. They could be people trying to troll AI, and they could be trying to reverse train it based on what they're publishing out there. And then there could be AI that's writing AI stuff, and then AI is coming up with the sources from the AI written stuff. Man, it could get really messy. So that's why it's actually very important to show yourself as a brand. If you want to build trust, show yourself on video and don't make yourself one of those AI avatars or AI bots. That maybe could be good for some sort of tutorial thing, but if you're brand building and building trust, then you really need to show yourself and consistently show up and answer questions people have, constantly help them, give away value, post all those clips on social media. And if you want to do that the easy way, then that's when video podcasting comes into it. This new AI world is pretty cool, but it's also very messy. So keep doing the reps, keep putting out content, and keep on keeping on. I'll see you in the next one.